Imagine a perennial vegetable that emerges through frozen ground in early spring, produces tender greens when your garden is still dormant, thrives in deep shade where lettuce refuses to grow, and comes back year after year without replanting. Sound too good to be true? For centuries, Scandinavian gardeners have known about this remarkable plant, but it's remained virtually unknown to the rest of the world. This is Hablitzia tamnoides, and if you're not growing it in zones 3 through 8, you're missing out on one of the most resilient, productive, and earliest greens you can possibly cultivate. After spending years researching forgotten vegetables and cold climate food production, I've become convinced that Hablitzia represents something extraordinary in the world of edible perennials. This isn't just another interesting plant to add to your collection. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about sustainable vegetable production, offering greens when you need them most and requiring almost nothing in return. Today, we're exploring why this Caucasian climbing vine deserves serious attention, how to grow it successfully, and the remarkable truth about why such an incredible plant has remained hidden from mainstream gardening. Stay with me because what I share about this plant's unique growing cycle will completely change your approach to early spring harvests. The first thing you need to understand about Hablitzia is that it operates on a completely different schedule than your typical garden vegetables. While you're waiting for the soil to warm enough for lettuce and spinach, Hablitzia is already pushing tender shoots through the last remnants of snow. This plant emerges in early spring, sometimes in late February or early March, depending on your climate, when overnight temperatures are still dropping below freezing. The shoots don't just tolerate these cold conditions, they thrive in them. This is a plant that evolved in the harsh mountain environments of the Caucasus region, where spring comes slowly and winter refuses to release its grip. What makes this early emergence so valuable is the quality of the greens it produces. Those first spring shoots are incredibly tender, with a mild flavor that combines the best qualities of spinach and asparagus. There's a subtle sweetness, a pleasant texture, and none of the bitterness that plagues early greens from annual crops, stressed by cold weather. You're harvesting abundant, delicious greens weeks or even months before anything else in your garden is producing. For gardeners in northern climates who endure long winters, this early productivity is nothing short of miraculous. The plant's growth habit is equally fascinating and unlike anything most gardeners have encountered. Hablitzia is a climbing perennial that sends up multiple shoots from an expanding crown each spring. These shoots are vigorous climbers, reaching 6 to 10 feet in a single season under good conditions. The plant uses a twining growth pattern, wrapping around whatever support you provide. In its native habitat, Hablitzia climbs through shrubs and small trees at the forest edge, thriving in the dappled light that filters through the canopy. This natural habit tells us everything we need to know about the plant's preferred growing conditions. Unlike conventional vegetables that demand full sun and rich soil, Hablitzia actually prefers partial to full shade. This makes it perfect for those challenging shady areas where you struggle to grow food. The north side of buildings, beneath deciduous trees in the shadow of fences and structures, these are prime real estate for Hablitzia. The plant tolerates deep shade better than any leafy green I've encountered, producing abundant harvests in light conditions that would leave lettuce pale and spindly. This shade tolerance opens up entirely new growing spaces in your garden and allows you to create vertical food production in areas you thought were useless. The perennial nature of Hablitzia cannot be overstated in terms of its value to home gardeners. This is a true perennial vegetable that gets better with age. In its first year, a small plant might send up 3 or 4 shoots. By year 3, that same plant can produce 20 or more shoots, each one a harvestable stem of tender greens. By year 5, a mature Hablitzia crown can send up 40 to 60 shoots in spring, providing pounds of greens from a single plant. This exponential increase in productivity means your investment of time and space pays greater dividends each season. Consider what this means for garden planning and labor. You plant Hablitzia once, provide a support structure, and harvest greens every spring for decades. There's no annual tilling, no starting seeds indoors, no hardening off seedlings, no transplanting. The plant handles everything itself, emerging on schedule, growing vigorously, and producing harvests without your intervention. This is the kind of low-maintenance food production that permaculture practitioners dream about but rarely achieve with truly productive plants. The nutritional profile of Hablitzia leaves makes this plant even more compelling. The young shoots and leaves are rich in vitamins A and C, contain significant amounts of iron and calcium, and provide protein levels comparable to cultivated spinach. The leaves also contain beneficial phytochemicals and antioxidants that support overall health. What's remarkable is that Hablitzia maintains this nutritional density throughout its harvest period, unlike many greens that become less nutritious as they mature. You're getting genuinely healthful food from a plant that requires minimal care. Now let's talk about the plant's incredible cold hardiness, which is perhaps its most impressive characteristic. Hablitzia survives winters in USDA Zone 3, enduring temperatures of -40 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. The plant dies back to the ground each winter, storing energy in a tough, woody crown that lives beneath the soil surface. When spring arrives, this crown sends up new shoots with astonishing reliability. I've spoken with gardeners in northern Minnesota, interior Alaska, and northern Canada who report that Hablitzia is among the most dependable perennials in their gardens, surviving conditions that kill supposedly hardy fruit trees and ornamentals. This extreme cold tolerance comes with an interesting caveat. Hablitzia actually requires a cold winter dormancy period to thrive. The plant performs poorly in warm winter climates, struggling in Zone 9 and warmer. This makes Hablitzia perfect for northern gardeners who often feel limited in their perennial vegetable options. While southern gardeners enjoy year-round growing seasons, northern gardeners can grow Hablitzia with a success rate that southern gardeners cannot match. It's a rare case where cold climate gardening offers a distinct advantage. The propagation of Hablitzia presents both opportunities and challenges that are important to understand before you begin. The plant produces seeds reliably once established, but these seeds require a cold stratification period to germinate. Fresh seeds sown in fall will germinate the following spring, while seeds stored dry need 2 to 3 months of cold, moist conditions before they'll sprout. This cold requirement is nature's way of ensuring seeds don't germinate in fall, only to be killed by winter. For the patient gardener, growing from a seed is economical and allows you to establish multiple plants or share with others. Division of established crowns is the faster propagation method and the one I recommend for gardeners who want productive plants quickly. A mature Hablitzia crown can be divided in early spring, just as shoots emerge, or in fall after the plant dies back. Using a sharp spade, cut sections of crown that include both roots and growing points. Each division should be roughly the size of your fist or larger. Smaller divisions take longer to establish and may not survive the stress of transplanting. Plant divisions immediately at the same depth they were growing previously, water them in well, and mulch to conserve moisture. Divided plants typically establish quickly and produce harvestable shoots the following spring. Starting with purchased plants is the easiest option, though finding Hablitzia in commerce can be challenging. Specialty nurseries focusing on permaculture plants, edible landscaping, or unusual perennials occasionally stock Hablitzia. Online plant sales and seed exchanges are often better sources than local garden centers. When you do locate plants or seeds, buy from reputable sources and verify you're getting true Hablitzia tamnoides. There are no named varieties or cultivars of this plant. All Hablitzia is essentially the same genetically, which simplifies selection but means you can't choose between different types. Site selection for Hablitzia is critical to long-term success with this plant. Remember that you're establishing a perennial that will occupy the same space for many years, potentially decades. Choose carefully and set the plant up for success from the start. As mentioned earlier, Hablitzia prefers shade to partial shade. Morning sun with afternoon shade is ideal, or the dappled light beneath deciduous trees works beautifully. The plant tolerates full sun in northern climates where sun intensity is lower, but even there, it appreciates some shade during the hottest part of the day. Soil requirements are refreshingly flexible compared to many vegetables. Hablitzia grows well in average garden soil and doesn't demand the rich, heavily amended conditions that annual vegetables require. The plant prefers soil that's moist but well-drained, never waterlogged. Clay soils work fine as long as they don't stay saturated. Sandy soils are acceptable if you can provide consistent moisture during the growing season. Soil pH can range from slightly acidic to slightly alkaline without problems. This adaptability means Hablitzia fits into almost any garden situation without extensive soil modification. The support structure you provide shapes how productive and manageable your Hablitzia becomes. Remember that this is a vigorous climbing plant that will reach 8 to 10 feet in a season. Without support, the shoots sprawl on the ground, becoming muddy, slug-damaged, and difficult to harvest. With proper support, the same shoots climb vertically, stay clean, resist pests, and harvest easily. A simple trellis of string or wire attached to posts works perfectly. Cattle panel sections make excellent permanent supports that last for years. Some gardeners train Hablitzia up bamboo teepees, while others let it climb chain-link fences or decorative garden structures. What's fascinating is how you can use Hablitzia's climbing nature to solve garden problems. Plant it at the base of a dead tree and let it clothe the trunk in edible greenery. Train it up an ugly fence that needs screening. Grow it beneath fruit trees where it utilizes space that would otherwise go to weeds. The plant's shade tolerance and vertical growth habit make it incredibly versatile for integrating into existing landscapes. You're not dedicating prime garden real estate to Hablitzia. You're utilizing marginal spaces and making them productive. Planting depth and spacing matter more than you might expect for long-term plant health. Set the crown at the same depth it was previously growing, with the growing points just at or slightly below the soil surface. Planting too deep can cause crown rot, while planting too shallow exposes the crown to freeze-thaw damage in winter. For spacing, give each plant at least 2 to 3 feet in all directions. This seems generous for first-year plants, but becomes necessary as the crown expands. Mature plants can spread to 3 feet across, and cramped plants don't produce as vigorously as those with adequate space. Maintenance for established Hablitzia is minimal, which is part of the plant's great appeal. In spring, clear away old mulch and winter debris from around the crown to allow shoots to emerge easily. Watch for those first shoots and protect them from slugs if slugs are problematic in your garden. A ring of crushed eggshells or diatomaceous earth around emerging shoots provides effective protection. Once shoots are 6 inches tall, they're generally tough enough that slugs lose interest. Watering needs are moderate. The plant appreciates consistent moisture during active growth in spring and early summer, but doesn't require irrigation in most climates. If you're experiencing drought during the spring growing season, water deeply once a week rather than frequent shallow watering. Mulching around plants conserves moisture and suppresses weeds. As summer progresses and the plant sets seed, water needs decrease. By late summer, established Hablitzia often survives on rainfall alone. Fertilization is optional and should be light if you fertilize at all. A spring application of compost around the base of plants provides sufficient nutrients for vigorous growth. Alternatively, A balanced organic fertilizer applied as shoots emerge supports healthy production. Avoid heavy nitrogen applications which promote excessive leaf growth at the expense of overall plant vigor. Many gardeners successfully grow Hablitzia without any fertilization, relying on the plant's efficiency at mining nutrients from soil. The harvest season for Hablitzia is delightfully flexible and extends much longer than most people realize. The prime harvest period begins when shoots are 6 to 12 inches tall and continues until shoots begin developing side branches and climbing vigorously. This gives you roughly 4 to 6 weeks of prime harvest in spring. During this window, you can cut shoots at ground level or pinch off the tender top 6 to 8 inches of growth. Both methods work well and provide excellent eating quality. What many gardeners don't realize is that you can continue harvesting Hablitzia throughout the growing season, though the plant changes character as it matures. Once the main spring flush is complete and plants begin climbing, you can harvest tender growing tips and young leaves throughout summer. These summer harvests are smaller than the spring bounty, but provide occasional greens during the season. The leaves remain edible until the plant flowers and sets seed in mid to late summer. Even during flowering, the youngest leaves and tender shoot tips are perfectly good to eat. Harvesting strategy significantly impacts plant vigor and future productivity. The rule of thumb is to never harvest more than 1/3 of the shoots from a plant at any one time. This leaves adequate growing points to sustain the plant and build crown reserves for the following year. On a mature plant with 40 shoots, you can safely harvest 12 to 15 shoots and still have plenty of foliage remaining. Harvest the largest, most vigorous shoots and leave smaller ones to continue growing. This selective harvesting actually encourages the plant to produce more shoots as the season progresses. Post-harvest handling and storage are straightforward. Hablitzia shoots are perishable like any leafy green and should be used within a few days of harvest for best quality. Rinse the harvested shoots in cold water to remove any dirt or debris. Store them in the refrigerator in a plastic bag or container. The shoots will keep 4 to 7 days when properly refrigerated. For longer storage, Hablitzia freezes well. Blanch shoots in boiling water for 2 minutes, plunge them into ice water, drain thoroughly, and freeze in airtight containers. In the kitchen, Hablitzia is wonderfully versatile and can be used anywhere you'd use spinach, chard, or asparagus. The mild flavors and tender texture make it appealing even to people who typically dislike greens. The simplest preparation is to steam or sauté the shoots briefly until just wilted, then season with butter, salt, and pepper. This method highlights the plant's natural flavor and creates a side dish that rivals asparagus for springtime appeal. Hablitzia works beautifully in stir-fries, where its sturdy texture holds up well to high heat. Chop the shoots into bite-sized pieces and add them late in the cooking process. The leaves wilt quickly, while the thicker stem portions provide pleasant textural contrast. In soups and stews, add Hablitzia during the last few minutes of cooking to preserve color and nutrients. The plant's mild flavor complements rather than overwhelms other ingredients. Raw Hablitzia adds interest to spring salads, particularly the very youngest, most tender shoots. The flavor when raw is subtle and slightly sweet, with none of the bitterness or aggressive flavor found in raw spinach or chard. Chop shoots finely and mix with other salad greens or use whole small shoots as a base for grain salads. The nutritional benefits are highest when Hablitzia is consumed raw, though the cooked version remains highly nutritious. For preservation beyond freezing, consider fermenting Hablitzia as you would other greens. Lacto-fermented Hablitzia develops complex flavors and provides probiotic benefits. Chop the shoots, pack them in a jar with salt brine, and allow them to ferment at room temperature for several days before refrigerating. The fermented product keeps for months and makes an excellent addition to grain bowls and sandwiches. The plant's life cycle after the harvest season reveals another layer of Hablitzia's charm. Once you stop harvesting in late spring, the remaining shoots climb vigorously up whatever support you've provided. The plant flowers in midsummer, producing small, insignificant greenish-white blooms arranged in delicate panicles. These flowers are mildly ornamental, but more importantly, they're highly attractive to beneficial insects. Pollinators and predatory insects visit Hablitzia flowers in good numbers, making the plant a valuable addition to integrated pest management strategies. Following flowering, the plant sets seed in late summer. The seeds are small, dark, and surrounded by papery bracts. If you want to save seed for propagation or sharing, allow the seed heads to dry on the plant until they turn brown and crispy. Cut the entire seed head and finish drying it indoors in a paper bag. Once completely dry, thresh the seeds by rubbing the seed heads between your hands. Winnow away the chaff and store clean seeds in a cool, dry location. Remember that these seeds need cold stratification to germinate. As fall approaches, Hablitzia begins its retreat for winter. The foliage yellows and dies back naturally with the first hard frosts. Some gardeners cut the dead foliage to the ground in fall for tidiness, while others leave it standing until spring. There's no right or wrong approach here. The dead stems provide some winter protection for the crown and create habitat for beneficial insects, but they can also harbor slugs and look untidy. Do what makes sense for your garden aesthetic and pest situation. The crown continues developing underground, even as top growth dies back. This subterranean growth is building energy reserves that fuel the explosive spring growth. A well-established crown can be massive, reaching the size of a dinner plate or larger after many years. These large crowns are incredibly productive and nearly impossible to kill once established. They survive neglect, deep freezes, summer droughts, and general garden mayhem with impressive resilience. Pest and disease problems with Hablitzia are refreshingly minimal compared to most vegetables. The plant has few natural pests in regions where it's grown, being far removed from its native range and the insects that co-evolved with it. Slugs can damage very young shoots as they emerge in spring, but this is typically the only significant pest issue. Deer and rabbits generally leave Hablitzia alone, though a truly desperate deer might browse shoots. This pest resistance eliminates the constant vigilance required for pest management with conventional vegetables. Disease issues are equally rare. Good air circulation around plants prevents fungal problems that might occur in very humid conditions. The plant's natural vigor and resilience seem to protect it from most pathogens. In over a decade of growing Hablitzia across various climates, I've never encountered a serious disease problem or heard of one from other growers. This disease resistance is particularly valuable for organic gardeners who avoid chemical treatments. The long-term prospects for Hablitzia in your garden are excellent and get better with time. Unlike fruit trees that take years to reach full production or berry bushes that decline after 10 to 15 years, Hablitzia just keeps getting more productive. 20-year-old plants produce harvests that dwarf what you got from the same plant in year 3. Established plants can live for decades without any apparent decline in vigor. You're not just planting a vegetable. You're establishing a permanent food source that may still be feeding people long after you're gone. This long-term productivity challenges our conventional thinking about vegetable gardening. We're accustomed to annual cycles of planting, growing, harvesting, and replanting. Hablitzia asks us to think in longer time frames and recognize that the best food systems are those that sustain themselves across years and decades. The plant rewards patience and planning rather than intensive short-term effort. This is food production aligned with natural systems rather than fighting against them. The climate uncertainty we face makes plants like Hablitzia increasingly valuable. As weather patterns become less predictable and extreme events more common, Resilient perennials that don't require replanting each year become insurance policies in your garden. Hablitzia survives late spring frosts that kill annual crops. It endures summer heat waves by going semi-dormant. It laughs at winter cold that devastates less hardy plants. This resilience means you have at least one reliable food source, regardless of what weather challenges arise. Consider also the labor savings over time. Calculate the hours you spend starting spinach and lettuce indoors, transplanting them to the garden, watering them through establishment, and replanting when they bolt. Now compare that to the virtually zero time required to maintain established Hablitzia. You're gaining time and reducing physical effort while producing more food. For aging gardeners or those with physical limitations, this efficiency is transformative. The genetic diversity represented by Hablitzia in cultivation is worth preserving. This plant is not widely grown outside Scandinavia and parts of Eastern Europe. Every gardener who establishes Hablitzia contributes to keeping this species in cultivation and preventing its loss from gardens. If we've learned anything from the narrow genetic base of commercial agriculture, it's that diversity matters. Growing unusual plants like Hablitzia maintains options for future generations and preserves knowledge that might become critical as conditions change. Finding Hablitzia has historically been the main barrier to growing it, but this is changing. Online plant communities, seed exchanges, and specialty nurseries increasingly carry this plant. Social media groups focused on perennial vegetables and permaculture often have members willing to share seeds or divisions. The growing interest in edible perennials is bringing Hablitzia out of obscurity and making it accessible to ordinary gardeners. If you can't find it locally, a modest amount of online searching will locate sources. Start with 1 or 2 plants and see how Hablitzia performs in your conditions. Observe when shoots emerge, how quickly they grow, what pests, if any, appear, and how the flavor develops. Take notes and photos to track progress across seasons. This information guides your decisions about expanding your planting or adjusting your growing approach. The experience you gain with a few plants makes scaling up straightforward when you're ready. The integration of Hablitzia into your garden ecosystem creates benefits beyond food production. The plant's shade tolerance allows you to create vertical growing space beneath fruit trees where the ground would otherwise grow only grass or weeds. This stacks functions in your landscape, producing multiple yields from the same footprint. The flowers support pollinators that benefit your entire garden. The deep roots mine nutrients from subsoil and bring them to the surface when leaves drop in fall. These ecological services compound over time, improving your garden's overall health and productivity. This is why Hablitzia matters beyond being just another interesting vegetable. Represents a different approach to food production, one that works with natural systems rather than demanding constant inputs and intervention. It's resilient when we need resilience, productive when we need production, and independent when we need independence from fragile supply chains. This humble climbing plant from the Caucasus Mountains might seem like a niche curiosity, but it offers solutions to very real challenges facing home food production today. Give Hablitzia a place in your garden and watch what happens over the years. Watch as that single small plant becomes a productive crown, sending up dozens of shoots each spring. Watch as you harvest the first greens of the season weeks before anything else is ready. Watch as year after year, without replanting or fussing, this remarkable plant continues delivering exactly when you need it most. That's the power of working with resilient perennials, and Hablitzia demonstrates this power better than almost any plant I know. This is food security you establish once and benefit from for a lifetime, and it's waiting for you to discover it.